Hey friends, it's your boy SVH coming at you with today's bowl of Saki by Hazrat Inayat for September 11th. And I'd be remiss if I didn't just take a moment to remember those that lost their lives 23 years ago today in the horrific events of 9/11. And I hope and pray that the real truth is revealed soon. And that those affected by this will find some peace and comfort in knowing what really happened. And I'll just say that and leave it at that. But peace and blessings to all affected, and may we do better to live better and be better towards each other as we move into new times, right? And new days ahead of us. So, yeah. So here is today's bowl of sake for September 11th, 2024. In order to learn forgiveness, one must first learn tolerance. In order to learn forgiveness, one must first learn tolerance. I'm just going to jump right in here. We need today the religion of tolerance. In daily life, we cannot all meet on the same ground, being so different, having such different capacities, states of evolution, and tasks. So if we had no tolerance, no desire to forgive, we would never bring harmony into our soul. For to live in the world is not easy, and every moment of the day demands a victory. If there is anything to learn, it is tolerance. Tolerance is the first of all morals, and the next is forgiveness. A person who tolerates another through fear, through pride, from a sense of honor, or by the force of circumstances, does not know tolerance. Tolerance is the control of the impulse of resistance by will. There is no virtue in tolerance, which one practices because one is compelled by circumstances to tolerate. But tolerance is a consideration by which one overlooks the fault of another and gives no way in oneself to the impulse of resistance. A thoughtless person is naturally intolerant, but if a thoughtful person is intolerant, it shows his weakness. He has thought but has no self-control. In the case of the thoughtless, he is not conscious of his fault. So it does not matter much to him. But a thoughtful person is to be pitied if he cannot control himself owing to the lack of will. The activities in the worldly life cause many disturbances, and it is a constant jarring effect upon a sensitive soul. If one does not develop tolerance in nature, one is always subject to constant disturbances in life. The wish to live in the world and to be annoyed with its activities is like wanting to live in the sea and be constantly resisting its waves. This life of the world, full of different activities constantly working, has much in it to be despised, if only one has a tendency to despise. But at the same time, there is much to admire if one turns one's face from left to right. It is in our own power to choose the view of imperfection, of the vision of perfection, and the difference is only looking down or looking upwards. By a slight change of attitude in one's outlook on life, one can make the world into heaven or hell. The more one tolerates, the stronger one becomes in this way. It is the tolerant who is thoughtful, and as thought becomes greater, one becomes more tolerant. The words of Christ, "Resist not evil," teach tolerance. Tolerance is the sign of an evolved soul, for a soul shows the proof of its evolution in the degree of tolerance it shows. The life in the lower creation shows the lack of tolerance. As one evolves spiritually, so a person seems to rise above this natural tendency of intolerance. for the reason that he begins to see, besides himself and the second person, God, and he unites himself with the other person in God. But when a soul is evolved still more, tolerance becomes the natural thing for him. Because the highly evolved soul then begins to realize another person is not separate from me, but the other person is myself. The separation is on the surface of life, but in the depth of life, I and the other person are one. So I guess this is a fitting one. I never really put together. These phrases all are dated, right, for every day of the year, and it came in a book form. I'm not sure. Originally, these were probably things that were written down during lectures and things like that, and eventually it was compiled into a daily bowl of Saki, and it may be of something that Mersha did in his time, from day to day like this. But I guess I never really put together before how fitting this one is for 9/11. Because we are so separate and we are so different in so many ways, right? And those differences cause people to do terrible things sometimes to each other in the name of religion, in the name of their own country, their own belief, in many cases in the name of greed, in what they think is doing something in God's name when God's nowhere to be found in those acts. So I don't know. This is a deep one. This is a deep one. It has a lot of layers to it. But Murshid starts it off. We need today the religion of tolerance. In daily life, we cannot all meet on the same ground, being so different, having such different capacities, states of evolution, and tasks. And this is really the key. This is where tolerance comes in. You have to learn to tolerate different things in life. You have to tolerate your boss. You have to tolerate your employees. You have to tolerate your family, your husband, your wife, your child, your teacher, whatever it is in life that you experience. Tolerance is part of our everyday life, right? You have to tolerate different situations. We've had to tolerate the 100-degree plus weather the last week here in Los Angeles, which is a little hot for us out here. Usually it's in the 80s, 90s in the summertime, but hundreds are rare. So learning to tolerate that experience as well. All of this, tolerance is, such an important thing. And tolerance really falls in line with forgiveness. First, you have to tolerate something in order to see through it or see past it to where you can actually reach a state of forgiveness and a state of understanding. So yeah, just a couple thoughts that came to my mind on today's bowl of sake, but this is a good one. I really appreciate this sentiment. In order to learn forgiveness, one must first learn tolerance. So there you have it, my friends. Today's bowl of sake. I'll be back tomorrow with another.